Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu say they've agreed on a plan to end the Gaza war. It's being called a roadmap to peace. But here's the catch. Hamas would have to disarm. Gaza would be run by an international board of peace led by Trump himself. And Palestinian statehood? That's only a vague promise for someday, maybe. Tonight we're breaking down the 20-point plan, what it really means for Palestinians and Israelis, and why it could reshape Middle East politics for decades. On September 29th, Trump and Netanyahu stood side by side at the White House to unveil their new peace plan for Gaza. They call for an immediate ceasefire, humanitarian aid, and the release of hostages. But the deal goes far beyond that. It would change who controls Gaza, how it's rebuilt, and even who governs it in the future. Let's unpack exactly what's inside. First, the ceasefire. All fighting would stop immediately. Within 72 hours, Hamas would have to release all remaining hostages, 48 in total, though Israel believes only about 20 are still alive. In exchange, Israel would release over 1,900 Palestinian prisoners, including 250 serving life sentences, plus all women and children detained since the war began. Israel would also return bodies, 15 Palestinians for every Israeli hostage returned. This part is designed as a humanitarian breakthrough, but it only works if both sides believe the war is truly ending, and Hamas says it won't release everyone unless Israel commits to a full withdrawal. Next, troops. Israel says it will withdraw, but only after Hamas disarms. And even then, Israel would keep what it calls a security perimeter presence, essentially a buffer zone inside Gaza. Filling the gap would be an international security force not yet defined, that would police Gaza, dismantle Hamas's military tunnels and train Palestinian police to take over. This is where the plan faces its first big hurdle. Hamas says it will never disarm while Israel occupies Palestinian lands. Without disarmament, no withdrawal happens. Here's where things get even more complicated. Under the deal, Hamas would be banned from governing. Instead, Gaza would be run by a temporary administration of Palestinian technocrats, overseen by something called the Board of Peace. That board would be chaired by Donald Trump and former UK Prime Minister Tony Blair. Yes, you heard that right. Two foreign leaders would oversee Gaza's reconstruction and administration. They'd also control international reconstruction funds, giving them enormous influence over Gaza's day-to-day reality. The long-term goal, according to the plan, is for the Palestinian Authority to eventually take over Gaza. But here's the catch. The authority must undergo major reforms first. And statehood? The proposal says only that conditions may finally be in place for a pathway to Palestinian self-determination. In other words, independence is not guaranteed, it's a maybe, a someday. And Israel's leadership, including Netanyahu's far-right allies, strongly opposes any Palestinian state at all. So how is the world responding? Arab governments including Egypt, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar have cautiously backed the outline, praising it as a step toward peace. But Hamas negotiators are reviewing it with skepticism. They've consistently rejected disarmament, saying armed resistance is their only leverage. Meanwhile, inside Israel, Netanyahu faces pressure from his own coalition partners, who say they'll collapse the government if the Palestinian Authority is ever allowed to return to Gaza. So here we are, a plan that promises peace, aid, and rebuilding, but demands Hamas's surrender, gives Trump direct control over Gaza's future, and leaves Palestinian statehood hanging in the air. Is this a historic breakthrough, or just another plan doomed to fail in the cycle of war and fragile ceasefires? One thing is certain, with Gaza in ruins and over 2 million people desperate for relief, the stakes couldn't be higher. What do you think? Should Hamas accept this plan? Or is it too one-sided to ever work? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more in-depth breakdowns of the stories shaping our world.